The US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that today will see the heaviest strikes on Iran since the beginning of the war. He said Iran had fired its lowest number of missiles during the past 24 hours and that US attacks would continue until it was totally defeated.
As someone who led soldiers in the streets of Baghdad and Samarra, Iraq, and who trained counterinsurgents in Kabul, Afghanistan, and who still carries the weight of brothers lost to Iranian terrorist proxies, many backed by the same Iranian regime we're confronting now. This fight, Operation Epic Fury, it hits home. Our generation understands this fight. For 47 years, these barbaric savages in the Iranian regime have murdered our brothers in arms, my guys, your guys, our guys. Through their terrorist proxies and cowardly attacks, now they race toward a nuclear bomb to hold the world hostage. The Iranians have targeted and killed thousands of my American brothers. That race to a nuclear bomb, President Trump will never allow it. Not now, not ever, not on our watch. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. Like the terrorist cowards they are, they fire missiles from schools and hospitals, deliberately targeting innocents, because they know their military is being systematically degraded and annihilated. Iran's neighbors, and in some cases, former allies in the Gulf, they've abandoned them. And their proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Hamas, either broken, ineffective, or on the sidelines. Iran stands alone, and they are badly losing. On day 10 of Operation Epic Fury, we are winning with an overwhelming and unrelenting focus on our objectives, which are the same as the day I gave my first briefing here on Operation Epic Fury. They're straightforward, and we are executing them with ruthless precision. One, destroy their missile stockpiles, their missile launchers, and their defense industrial base, missiles and their ability to make them. Two, destroy their navy. And three, permanently deny Iran nuclear weapons forever. It's a laser-focused, maximum authority mission delivered with overwhelming and unrelenting precision. No hesitation, no half measures. As President Trump declared yesterday, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. We will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. But we do so on our timeline and at our choosing. For example, today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes, intelligence more refined and better than ever. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, the last 24 hours have seen Iran fire the lowest number of missiles they've been capable of firing yet. Just the bifurcation, just the trend lines that we talked about on our first briefing. You see, this is not 2003. This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again, and nor will this president, who very clearly ran against those kinds of never-ending, nebulously scoped missions. Those days are dead. Instead, we're winning decisively with brutal efficiency, total air dominance, and an unbreakable will to accomplish the president's objectives on our timeline. We stay locked on the target because here at the Department of War, that's our job. Now, the chairman and I, having just returned from Dover last night, our troops and their families and the enormous sacrifice that they make is certainly heavy on my mind.
Well, Patrick Bury, defence expert at the University of Bath, says the war objectives that we just heard being set out there by the US towards Iran are realistic.
I think the good news is from what we're receiving from different Ministry of Defenses in the region. So Israel, all the GCC countries that have been targeted, and then the updates provided by General Kane, they kind of tally, in terms of what we're looking at. And if we're just looking at the ballistic missile launches and the drone launches, and say for the first day of the campaign, there was about 350 or so ballistic missile launches and 300 drone launches. Then the next day, it was about 180 missile launches and about 500 drone launches. So they leapt up. But since then, they've been going down at an attrition rate of about 50% until it's got down to the low teens. And so this is exactly tallying with what General Kane is telling us. Now, we don't know. Of course, some people are saying, well, they're keeping some in reserve. I'd actually question that a lot, but given if you're a commander inside Iran and the risks that involves of trying to hide and keep a sort of second reserve salvo, for example. But it does tally with it. So I think, and again, what General Kane said is there now previously updates, we've got local air superiority. Now it sounds like that is local air superiority means in over a period of time and over a certain area, you can have air superiority. Now it sounds like they're moving towards air supremacy. They can operate with impunity in the air. And then once you can do that, of course, your intelligence and surveillance and your targeting gets much better as you fill it with drones, etc. So your granularity, and you actually start to see more targets at the lower level, especially in terms of drone launchers, which are harder to detect, and the supply chains and all behind that. So I think in general, it's tallying with what we're seeing. The battle damage assessments, of course, are all classified, etc. It's interesting to see a lot of the companies which actually provide the open source satellite imagery are now not providing it for numerous different reasons, we think, but also because the US has been targeted quite efficiently in some areas as well by the Iranian drones in particular.
So, Patrick, when Pete Hegseth comes up with his objectives, and number one is destroy the ballistic and drone technology, number two is destroy the Navy, number three is destroy the defence industrial base in Iran. Is that all possible? Is that realistic? Can the US and Israelis do that?
I think, yes, they can. The longer they have persistent air cover, the better picture they get. And this will, we're probably entering the end of phase one now and more into phase two, where they'll flood the bubbles, as it were, and try to get the bubbles, as it were, as they put over with all the assets which give them the intelligence and surveillance and the radar, and then the strike packages, and then the AI systems, which that is complementing the targeting behind that, getting those bubbles to join up, and then you get a much better picture. And I think they'll have given the political pressure and the economic pressure rising on the one hand, we saw over the weekend, especially, and Trump moving to allay some of those fears last night. I think that's their balance. They'll probably go, well, what is an acceptable level of degradation? You've got to remember here, Lucy, there's some cost for them now. They're expending their munitions. They've taken a big political risk domestically, especially President Trump. There's American casualties, and it's already had its impact on the region and on the world economy. So why would you stop now? And I think Hegseth is talking about this. We will not be dissuaded from our objectives, as we have, they're clear objectives now, which they're defining in military terms, until we assess they have been completed to a level which is worth the sunk costs, as it were.